Hi everybody, happy Tuesday and welcome to my very first Tuesdays Live at 5 video. I'm really excited to share some projects with you today that use the new Shimmer Paint from the holiday catalog. So I'm going to show you 3 projects. We're going to make them together, and at the end I'll tell you how you have a chance to win each one of the projects that I've made. Okay, so I'm just going to wait a couple more minutes and see if anybody joins us live. And if you missed the live broadcast, it will be on my page indefinitely, and I will also upload it to my YouTube channel. So there's lots of opportunity to see this video. I think I'm just going to go ahead. So I'm going to flip the camera. Just bear with me. You might get a little seasick. So just look away for a minute, and I will flip the camera and then we'll get rolling here. Okay, I think we are good. Let's make sure that's centered. All right, so these are the 3 projects I'm going to show you today, and I'm going to take you step by step through how to make each one. They're all fairly simple, even though they have a real wow, and that is thanks again to this new Shimmer Paint. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to set these other 2 aside. We'll come back to those later. So this one, and I'm not sure how well it shows up on the camera, but this is a really pretty shimmery background here. And it's got lots of layering and tone-on-tone color. And I'm going to show you how to get that using the Frost White Shimmer Paint. Okay, so I have just a paper plate here, and I'm going to use this as my sort of palette. I'm going to give the Shimmer Paint a little shake to make sure that it's well mixed. Now I'm just going to give you a heads up. Our cleaning lady surprisingly showed up today. I wasn't expecting her. So it may get a little noisy. I no longer have doors on my studio because we just finished a renovation and they installed new carpeting, and the carpeting is too thick for the doors. So I don't have doors right now. So if it gets noisy, bear with me. I also may have some little furry visitors if one of the kittens comes to visit. So just bear with me. So here I put a little bit of the Frost White Shimmer Paint onto my paper plate, and then I've just got some mint macaron re-inker. Okay, so I'm going to start by adding just a drop. Oh, somebody's here. Who's here? Somebody's here. Somebody may just make an appearance on camera. So I've added 1 drop, and I'm going to take just a paintbrush and I'm going to mix that up. Okay, so now I've got some pretty minty shimmer paint. And that's the nice thing about the Frost White, is that you can tint it any color. Now you'll notice I'm not mixing it completely. I want it to be a little bit marbly. So I'm going to grab a piece of glossy cardstock. Now you don't have to use glossy cardstock. In fact, the 3rd project I'm going to show you does not. It uses just plain Whisper White. I just find it gets a little bit more shiny when I use the glossy, so that's what I'm using today. This is a piece that is 2 inches wide by 5 1/4 inches long. Actually, it's actually 5 1/2. I cut it a little bit longer so that I can trim it down afterwards. Just gives me something to hold on to. Then I'm going to take just your basic plastic wrap. So this is, you know, your cheapo plastic wrap, and I'm going to ball it up into a little ball like this. And I'm going to use it to apply my ink. So I'm going to take and pick up a bit of ink with my little ball of saran wrap. And then on my glossy cardstock, I'm just going to dab some on. And it gives kind of a cool mottled effect when I do that. Almost marbling. Okay, so I'm going to leave a little corner here for me to hold on to so I don't get my fingers too inky. Then I'm going to go back and add some more re-inker. So I'm going to add another drop, and this is going to give me some darker color. Oh, somebody's in a Stampin' Up! Box playing right now. I'm not sure if you can hear that in the background. So there is my darker green. And again, I'm going to pick up some more of that color. And I'm just going to blot it. I don't want to cover the entire thing with it. I just want to add... Yes, that would be Stella, ladies and gentlemen. Stella is our little troublemaker. She gets into absolutely everything. She's been following the cleaning lady around all day and causing havoc. All right, so now I'm going to add 1 more drop. And again, I'm getting darker still. And I'm going to pick up a little bit more paint. Whoa, that was a bit too much. So I'm just going to turn my saran wrap and just add a little bit more color. And if I wanted it darker still, I think I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to add one more drop just to get a little bit more of that dark, rich color. Okay, and then I'm just going to pick up some of that, blot a little bit off, and just add some of the dark color in a few spots. Okay, so once you set that aside to dry, now this, you can speed up the dry time using a heat tool. I actually, through the magic of television, have one that's already dry right here. So we're going to use this one to complete our card. So I'm just going to set this one aside, and I'm going to set my paintbrush aside because I'm done with that. I'm going to grab a baby wipe here and just give it a quick wipe. And I'm also going to wipe this clean because I'm going to use this again for something else. Okay, so there is that. Get that out of the way. And here is my dry piece of shimmer painted glossy cardstock. So now I want to add some snowflakes. And I am using this awesome stamp set from the holiday catalog called Beautiful Blizzard. So the image I'm using is from right here. Okay, this is a great stamp set that actually comes with a coordinating set of framelits. I'll just show you that in the catalog for a sec. Okay, there it is there. It's on page 39 of the catalog. And it actually comes in a bundle with this awesome snowflake die. I'm actually going to show you that next week on a project that it's fantastic because it cuts a bazillion snowflakes all at once. But that's the bundle there, and we're using this stamp, and we're actually going to use this greeting as well. So I have mounted my stamp. I'm going to use some Tempting Turquoise ink. No, not Tempting Turquoise. That's long gone. Tranquil Tide is the name of this ink. And I'm going to ink up my stamp, and then I'm going to stamp all over my Shimmer Painty cardstock. Whoops, you got to be careful with this because it will smear as I just did there, but thankfully we can hide that with our deer. Okay, so there is my little flurry, snow flurry of snowflakes. And I'm just going to set that aside to dry for a minute and bring in the other pieces for this card. So the focal image on this card is that beautiful deer. Okay, it's detailed, it's got beautiful antlers, and I've cut this out of the new silver glimmer paper. So I'm going to show you a little trick for that. So on the back of this, I have actually applied some of the multi-purpose adhesive sheets. These are in the catalog, and they often get overlooked because people don't know what they're for. Well, they are the best things in sliced bread when it comes to adhering detailed die cuts. So rather than messing with the fine tip glue, you just put some of this on the back of your cardstock before you die cut and run it through. And then when you go to take your image out, just do that gently. I can peel this right off and I have a sticker. So that is now completely sticky and I can stick that on my project. Now I'm not quite ready to do that, so I'm going to set that aside just now. I did want to mention this die, which is from the Detailed Deer dies, and I'll show you that real quick. They are right here on page 9 of the catalog. Okay, and there are the dies. So you can get the stamp set and the coordinating dies as a bundle, or you can buy just the dies. But if you're going to get the dies, you got to get the stamp set because there's so many great images in it. All right, so I have my piece here, and I think it's pretty much dry. Yep, just takes a little bit longer to dry when it's on glossy cardstock. And I want to show you how I did this sort of ruffly detail here. So I took a piece of our Tranquil Tide ruffled ribbon, and I took my closely guarded fabric scissors and I cut down the length of it. So I cut it in half lengthwise. So now I have two little ruffly pieces. I'm going to just cut that carefully and try not to chop my fingers on live video. There we go. And then I'm going to take some snail or fast fuse. Fast fuse is my adhesive of choice. I was thrilled to see it come back on the clearance rack. I've been hoarding it and I have stocked up again, so here's hoping that it lasts me a while. So I've applied that fast fuse, and then I'm just going to take and I'm going to adhere that ribbon right along the edge like that. So right along the edge. Now I don't think I got my fast fuse right up to the edge. You have to have it right up to the edge of your paper so that the ribbon will stick. And this is easiest to do from the front side so you can see what you're doing. It's also easiest if you cut your ribbon a little bit longer than your cardstock. Now that I'm saying that, I think this is too long. Yes, it is. I forgot to trim that off. That's okay. We won't completely assemble the card today. Okay, so there's one side, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other. Stick that guy on. Just like that. And then I get that nice ruffled layer behind it. Okay. At that point, I'm ready to adhere it to my embossed Whisper White cardstock. So this is just plain Whisper White cardstock embossed with the new Swirls and Curls embossing folder. I would adhere my correctly trimmed piece, which it should be 5 1/4 inches long, to my Whisper White cardstock, just like that. Okay, and then that is ready to be adhered to my card base, just like that. Okay, so I'll bring this back in. So once I have done that, then I'm ready to adhere my deer. Now, my deer here, I actually adhered with some dimensionals. So what I would do is put a couple of dimensionals on the back of this, and I forgot to bring me some dimensionals. Where's my dimensionals? There they are. So we're going to put a couple dimensionals on the back, just like that. I might put a mini one on his head, stick that on, and then because this is sticky, it will stick to the front of the card so it doesn't sort of rattle around there. Okay, so that's going to go on like that. And then the last step is to stamp my sentiment. My sentiment is also from the beautiful Blizzard die, or stamp set rather. And I stamped this using Smoky Slate ink. So I've got a little strip of cardstock. Now these little cardstock strips are what is left when you cut a 4 by 5 1/4 inch layer for the inside of your card. So don't throw these little strips out, okay? They are useful for making little banners. So I've got my Season's Greetings image or stamp, and I'm going to stamp it on my little strip here, okay? And then I'm going to use my paper snips to cut a little banner. So I'm going to show you just a little tip for how to do that and get your points even. So I'm going to snip it to the length I want. Then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut in the middle of the banner in as far as I want my banner points to go. Then I'm going to go from one corner into the middle and the other corner into the middle. And I'm done there. Okay, same thing on this side. Trim it to size. Snip in the middle. Corner and corner, and then I get a nice even banner. Oops, that's upside down. There you go. All right, that's going to go on to the front of my card, and that's it. Done. Easy peasy, quick, but with a really cool shimmer paint background that's really, really shiny. I don't know if the light is catching it on the camera, but that's that one. Okay. All right, are you ready to try to go and learn about another project? Let me get this out of the way and clean up my mess here. Gotta stamp this one off. I'm gonna need to clean this guy because I'm gonna use him on the next project. Look at my chamois. Isn't it disgusting? And yet it still cleans my stamps like a dream. This thing is the best thing since sliced bread. I love it. All right, I'm just gonna blot off some of that shimmer paint, and I'm gonna turn my saran wrap around because I need to use a different color. I'm gonna get all of these bits out of here and get a fresh piece of grid paper. Toss that, and we're ready to go with card number 2. So let me get this out of the way and bring in our second project, which is this guy. All right, so this one has a really cool sort of icy, frosty background. Okay, I don't know if you can see how shiny that is on the camera, but it's really, really shiny and sparkly and just super pretty. I am of the opinion that every Christmas card should sparkle just a little. So whenever I can, I am all about adding some sparkle. So for this one, again, I'm going to use some glossy cardstock. So I'm just going to set the finished project aside. I've got a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 inch glossy white cardstock. I'm going to bring my little paper plate back in, and this time I'm actually going to use some of the Champagne Mist Shimmer Paint. Give it a shake and pour a little on there. And then I'm going to grab my saran wrap again, make sure it's nice and wrinkly, and I'm going to blot or pick up some of that Champagne Mist. And then I'm going to take and I'm just going to sort of pounce all over my cardstock. And the effect is kind of like cracked ice almost. Just keep going, cover this whole thing up. Whoops, got a big blob there. That's okay, we can get rid of it. Okay, you don't want to put too much on here because you lose the effect. Okay, you just want it to look like cracked ice. Okay, now again, that's going to need some dry time. You can speed it up with a heat tool, but I am going to just bring in one that's already dry so that we can continue with our project. I'm going to set this aside. So here is one that I did earlier, and it's all ready to go. And this time I'm actually going to use some gray granite to stamp my snowflakes. So I'm going to use that same snowflake image from the Beautiful Blizzard die or stamp set. Why do I keep saying die? Because there's a die that goes with it. That's why. So I'm going to use the same image to stamp some snowflakes on the background. So I'm going to use my gray granite and ink up my stamp. And this time I kind of want my snowflakes to fall down the front of the card. So I'm not going to cover the whole thing. I just kind of want to create a little snowfall. And as I'm doing it, you notice I'm turning my stamp. You can either turn your stamp or turn your cardstock. I find it easier to turn my stamp personally. Whichever makes you happy is what you can do. All right. So there is my finished background. Isn't that quick and simple and pretty? I love it. All right, so I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to use that stamp again in a minute. I'm going to set this aside while we assemble our other pieces. Okay. So next up first I need to get my little pile of goodies here. I need to show you what stamps I use to create this. So the snowflakes are from, snowshoes, that's a snowflake. I do know the difference. That's a snowshoe. The snowshoes are from the Alpine Adventure stamp set, which is also in the catalog and has coordinating dies. It is probably my most used one so far in the catalog. Let me just get that out of the way so you can see the whole stamp set. So there's the stamp set, and there are the coordinating dies. They're found on page 11 of the holiday catalog. All right, so we're going to use, I have already actually taken the time to stamp and die cut a pair of snowshoes, just in the interest of getting through this so you can get your dinner on time. All right, so I'm going to set that stamp set out of the way. I have my pair of snowshoes, but I am going to stamp my sentiment on just a scrap of Whisper White. There's where I cut my snowflakes from, or my snowshoe. Why do I keep saying snowflakes? Snowshoes from. All right, so I'm going to take my very dirty block and mount my sentiment stamp. I need to clean my blocks. And I'm going to ink it up using some gray granite. And I'm just going to stamp that on the scrap of white. And then I'm using my 2-inch circle punch to punch it out. I'll set that aside. So there is my sentiment. I'll get that out of the way. And then, just to add a little bit of interest to my sentiment piece, I'm just going to take that snowflake stamp and I'm going to add just a couple of little snowflakes at the edge and along the bottom. Just like that. Just to add a little bit of interest. Okay? So that's all there is to that. I'm going to set this aside. And then I have already punched a starburst in Cherry Cobbler. So I'm going to take and I'm going to adhere that. And whenever I'm layering circles like this, I like to use Tombow because I have wiggle time. So Fast Fuse is my first love. Tombow is my second. So there is my circle. Then I've got some die cut pine boughs here. These are die cut using the Christmas Staircase thinlits. Still got some little bitties in there. We'll get them out of there. And all I did is I kind of arranged them behind the circle. Okay, so it's almost like floral arranging. So I'm going to take a little bit of Fast Fuse. You could use glue dots as well for this. And I'm going to take one. Anybody notice that my lights are getting dimmer? I think my batteries for my lights are dying. 2. Make sure these are, oh, there we go. Let's turn it up all the way. There we go. Hopefully that's better. And, oops, I forgot to put my snowshoes on first. That's okay. We'll tuck them in behind. Doesn't really matter. Actually, you know what I can do? There is a way to fix anything. If you have ever been to one of my classes, you know that we can fix anything. So I'm going to tuck one of my snowshoes back in here. just like that. There's one. And then my other one's gonna go right in here like this. I'm gonna trim him off. I'm gonna add a glue dot. And we're gonna tuck him back in here like this. Just gonna pull this back a bit. There we go. There are my snowshoes. And then I'm gonna put my other little pine bough. Whoops, this guy fell off, so we'll just add another glue dot there. There we go. And then I'm gonna add another pine bough down here. Just like that. Okay, we're almost done our little arrangement. And then I have a little snowflake, which was also cut using the Alpine Sport dies, same dies that cut the snowshoes. And for this, I'm actually gonna use just a teensy titch of Tombow here. Teensy titch of Tombow. How's that for a tongue twister? Just a little dab will do ya. And let's just make sure we get the glue part on. We're gonna stick that on there. And then, because I just like sparkly things, I'm gonna add a little bit of Wink of Stella to my snowflake. Oh, this is a new Wink of Stella, can you tell? There we go, let's get a little bit of action going there. There we go. And then I'm gonna add just a bit of sparkle to my snowflake. You probably can't see this on the camera, but it sure does make it pretty. All right, so there is my little arrangement to go on the front of my card. Next, I have a piece of the Farmhouse burlap trim. I can't remember the name of it, but that's close. Okay, and I'm gonna trim one end on an angle. I'm gonna take my fast fuse and run it along the front of my card, or this is my Shimmer Paint background. I'm gonna lay that on there, and then I'm gonna flip it over at a little bit more and wrap that around. And then trim off the excess. The only reason I trim off the excess is so that it's easier to glue onto my card base. Okay, just like that. And then on the back of my little sentiment arrangement here, I'm gonna add a few dimensionals because everything looks better popped up, in my humble opinion. One smack in the middle. Grab these guys off here. Come here, you little backing. And that is gonna go on here. Straight is better than not. And then finally, I have a gray granite card base that I've already scored. So this is half of a sheet of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. So it's 8.5 by 5.5. And then I've scored it at 4 1/4. I'm gonna fold that in half. And then a little bit more fast fuse. Have I mentioned how much I love fast fuse? It's the best thing ever. Oops, except when it does that. Come here. There we go. Trying to be too quick with it. And then I'm going to go ahead and stick that down on my card front. And voila, I'm done. Wasn't that quick and easy? So Shimmer Paint gives you such a cool, sparkly, shiny background. Like it's just so pretty. So that's that one. You like? I hope you like. All right, I'm gonna move on to number 3. And this one is my very favorite. It's my favorite project I've done in a while, actually. This one is a fall project. Let me just, well, no, I think we're okay. You're okay with working with a messy background, right? This is a fall project that I absolutely adore. And part of the reason I adore it so much is because it uses brush show, which is fun and dirty and just great. I love getting dirty when I'm stamping. So I'm going to show you how to create this background. So first of all, you have to have a little bit of a comfort level with getting messy. Okay. So if you're not about getting messy, then this project is not for you, but it's fun. Take a risk and give it a try. I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay. So unlike the first 2 projects where I used glossy cardstock for my background, this one I'm just using plain old regular Whisper White. Okay. It's not the thick stuff. It's just your regular standard weight Whisper White. And I'm going to show you. You'll notice this piece is cut larger than this. That again is so that I can keep my fingers semi-clean as I work with the background, and then I can cut it down to size afterwards. Okay. So I'm going to show you how to do that one. So once again, I'm going to bring back my champagne Shimmer Paint. Okay, I'm using that same champagne that we used on the last project. And I'm going to bring in my cellophane, and I'm just going to pick up a little bit, and I'm just going to apply some of that to my white cardstock. And again, I'm not trying to be super careful about getting full coverage. In fact, less is more. Okay, so there's that. Huh, it stuck to me. There we go. That's the fast fuse was on my finger. All right, now I'm going to bring in some brush dough. So for those who are not familiar with brush dough, this is in the annual catalog. And this is actually powdered crystal color. And it creates very vibrant color, which is how I got these vibrant fall colors on the sample. But it is a little bit messy. It is activated by water, by moisture. So when you get your brush dough, you do not want to open these lids, because if you get it, it will be everywhere. And a little bit creates a lot of color. All right, so just be advised. So the best way to use this stuff is to actually take some tacks and poke some holes in the lid, okay? And then you just use it like a salt shaker. So I'm going to shake a little bit of yellow. Whoa, that's a lot. That's probably more than I need. That's okay. We're going to have vibrant color. And then I'm going to take a little bit of this gamboge, which is kind of an orangey, reddish orange. Put a little bit of that on there. And then, get that out of the way, I'm going to take a little bit of brilliant red and add some of that along the bottom. Okay, so you'll see right now the color isn't reacting to the shimmer paint because I didn't put very much on there. So now to activate the color, I'm going to take and I'm going to pick up some more of that paint, and I'm going to start at the top because I want to start with the lightest color, and I'm just going to start pouncing on there, and you can see that color start to react. Okay, pick up a bit more paint. And now I'm working down into the gamboge, that orangey color. And then I'm going to pick up some more. And now I get the fire. There's the red. Okay, and you can kind of blend them out. And isn't that just magical, the way that works? I absolutely love this look, especially for a fall card. Like, it just reflects the colors of nature right now. And that's it. So easy, but so cool. Now, you'll see that there are still some crystals there that haven't been activated. If you're worried about that, just apply a bit more shimmer paint until you get them all to activate. Okay, I kind of like that, that sort of texture in it, so I'm going to kind of leave them. I like seeing that sort of grainy texture. And that's all there is to it. So I'm going to get this out of the way. And again, this is going to need dry time before you try to cut it or stamp on it. But I don't know if you can tell, but it's already super shimmery and pretty. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside and bring in a finished one. Okay, so there's one that I did earlier. Now this needs to get cut down to size. I just realized I haven't cut it. So I'm going to grab my trimmer. And I'm going to cut this, and I think it was 3.5 by 5. Yes, so I'm going to cut my finished dry piece of white to 3.5 by 5, and I'm actually going to cut some of the white off the bottom because I want to have as much color as I can. Okay, so there's my panel. And then we're going to do some stamping. Now this is a little bit easier to stamp on because I don't have to worry about the glossy cardstock and it sliding. So here I'm going to use the Falling for Leaves stamp set. So this is the stamp set. It's absolutely beautiful. It has some beautiful images, but even more beautiful are the coordinating dies, which are right here. So they're on page 45 of the catalog. I don't know if you can see that. So there's the stamp set and the coordinating dies. And oh, look, there's a bit of copper shimmer paint in the picture. These dies are just stunning. I absolutely love them. And again, they are fantastic to use with the multi-purpose adhesive sheets. So I'm going to use this image and this image from this set. And I'm going to stamp using Early Espresso and soft suede. So I'm going to start with the leaves. So this image, and I'm going to grab a bit of soft suede. And I'm going to stamp once up here, once on a bit of an angle this way, and then once kind of going down this way. Keep in mind that this is going to get covered up. Okay, so I'm not really worried about overlapping or any of that. So that's that one. Then I'm going to bring in my Early Espresso and this sort of branch image. This kind of reminds me of Pussy Willows. And I'm going to add a few of those just to add some texture and interest. And again, don't worry about them overlapping. It's going to get covered up. I'm going to put one short one here and a longer one here, just like that. Okay, doesn't look like much now, but don't you worry, we're not done yet. All right, now I have my beautiful die cut leaves. So here in the die set that coordinates with the Falling for Leaves stamp set, there is this detailed leaf die and then there is a solid leaf die. So the solid leaf die coordinates with this image, so it'll cut out that stamped image, but it also works really well to layer behind the detailed leaf. Do you see that? So what I've done is, again, I've die cut out of gold foil and I put some multi-purpose adhesive sheet on before I die cut. And you're gonna see I've still got all the bits in there. I haven't taken the time to punch those out. And this is why. Watch this. I'm gonna peel off my backing and watch what happens. All those little bits come off with it. Is that not magical? No poking, no dealing with the die brush. All the bits stick to the backing and all you got is a pretty die cut. Then it's super easy to just layer it on that solid leaf. So I'm just gonna stick that on there and look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, love it. Okay, so before I stick this on, I'm actually gonna take a little bit of our braided trim. This is new in the holiday catalog as well. And I'm gonna take a couple of glue dots, just put them on either end of the trim. I'm gonna lay this across the front of my panel. And I'm just gonna stick the ends with the glue dots to the back, just like that. So they're stuck on there. So now I've got my trim on, make sure it's straight. Okay. Then I'm going to take and add my leaf. Actually, before I do that, I'm gonna glue it onto my other layer. So here I have a piece of Country Lane DSP. This is a wood pattern, wood texture pattern. I'm not sure how well that shows. So this is cut to 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm gonna go ahead and adhere that to there. Oh, you know what? I don't think I cut the right. Did I cut that to 5? Let's double check. Is that 5? Oh yeah, it is. Is it supposed to be 5? Maybe it's supposed to be shorter. It's supposed to be 4 3/4. That's why it looks funny. So we're gonna cut a little bit off this end. See, I told you, there's no mistake that you can't fix. Look at that, none the wiser. All right, back to this. So I'm gonna stick this down on here. And again, fast fuse to the rescue. Sorry, that would be my son in the background. And then I'm gonna adhere this to my DSP layer, like that. And then I have an Early Espresso cardstock base. It's 4 1/4 by 11, and then I've scored it in the middle at 5 1/2. So I'm gonna fold that in half along the score line. And I'm gonna go ahead and adhere my front panel to the base, just like this. How's that? Next, my leaf is ready to go on. And as I said, everything looks better popped up. So we're gonna add some dimensionals to the back of that guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, one more over there. I am a little bit of a dimensionals addict. I am awfully stoked that the dimensionals are on sale during the World Card Making Day promotion this week. Did you see that? If you need adhesives, this is the time to get them. They don't come on sale very often, so stock up. All right, so I'm gonna stick this onto the front of my card at a bit of an angle. Next, I am supposed to stamp the sentiment, but I just realized I forgot to mount my happy birthday. So let's do Harvest of Thanks instead. It is getting to be that time. Here in Canada, we have Thanksgiving on this weekend. So Monday is Thanksgiving Monday. And we have our family turkey dinner coming up this weekend. And we have an annual tradition of going to the Rockton Fair, which is a fall fair that's in our community. So lots of fun coming this weekend. So here I have a 3/4 inch by, I don't know, I think this is 4 inches, just a scrap piece of the same Country Lane DSP. And I'm going to take my Early Espresso ink and my Harvest of Thanks, and I'm going to stamp that on that DSP. Did you know it's okay to stamp on DSP? It is. It really, really is. Don't be scared. Now I'm going to to show you how I got this decorative edge on here. And this is a magical extra use for your everyday label punch. So the everyday label punch is in the annual catalog. And what I'm going to do, rather than just sliding it in here and punching, because that's not going to fit, I'm going to take and slide my DSP in from the top like this. And I'm going to center it on that little bump on the label and punch. And look at that. I get a cute little decorative end. Same thing here. Center it and punch. Look at that. Whoop, upside down again. There you go. And then that's going to go onto my card front. Now, because I'm going to layer this over a popped piece, I'm going to put a little bit of fast fuse here and a dimensional here so that it lies flat. So dimensional there, fast fuse there. And we're going to put this guy on here. Let's see if we can get him straight. I don't think my braided trim is straight. There we go. And then I have somewhere, I don't know where I put it. I have a little bow, there it is, that I already tied out of the braided trim. So I'm gonna just adhere that with a glue dot. So I'm just gonna press the knot of the bow right in there, stick that on. And then my last step here to add a little extra sparkle is to add some of the metallic gold pearls. And to pick these up, I'm using my new Take Your Pick tool. This is the best thing ever. I think I've said that a few times, but this really is. It comes with a bunch of different tips. So this is removable, so I can switch this out. There's a pokey tool, okay, so for poking out all those bits out of your die cuts. This is a spatula, which is absolutely perfect for scooping up your little pearls and sticking them down. So no more, you know, growing out your fingernails just so, oh, that guy stuck to the back of my spatula. Growing out your fingernails just so you can pick up your pearls and rhinestones. Now you're just going to take and stick them on wherever. What did I do? I only did 3. Let's do 5. What the heck? Just here's a design tip for you. When you are designing, always design in odd numbers. The eye wants to see odd numbers. If I'd put 6 on here or 4, it would not look right. So there are 5 pretty little pearls, and that is my project. How easy was that? Pretty easy. Yeah, it is pretty easy. All right, that is all I have for you today. I'm going to bring back all 3 of my projects. 1, 2, and 3. Oh. So here they are amid my mess. And I'm going to explain to you how you can have each one of these projects sent to you for free. And that is by placing an order this week using this host code. So this is my host code for the week. You can place your order at lenagursa.stampinup.net. And if you place an order of $30 or more, I will send you all 3 of these make and takes for free. How's that for a deal? Not too bad. Also, if you like and share my video that I've just done, I will also enter you into a draw to win a Take Your Pick tool. Okay, so everybody who likes and shares this video this week will be entered into a draw to win a free Take Your Pick tool. How's that for a deal? All right, thanks so much for joining me for my very first Tuesday Live at 5. I'm just gonna bring you back up here, flip the camera back around so you can see me not upside down. There we go. Hi, everybody. So I hope you enjoyed those projects. They certainly were fun for me. I love playing with the Shimmer Paint and with Brusho. And thanks for joining me. I see I have some viewers, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed those projects. And be sure to like and share and place your order, and you can get all 3 of those cards sent to you for free. Okay, thanks. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time.